Star vs. the Forces of Evil might look like just another kid's show, but it's one of Disney's best series. Created by Dave Wasson, this animated magical girl show aired on Disney Channel and Disney XD, winning over viewers with its charm and depth. From the start, each character shows surprising complexity, and even the villains have layers that can make you feel sorry for them. The show turns a simple story into a rich world full of lore and mystery. It's a tribute for the fans of Gravity Falls and Adventure Time who crave a fresh magical adventure, so without further ado, let's begin. As always, here is some context for better understanding. Star Butterfly, a magical princess from the dimension of Muni, is the heiress to the Butterfly Kingdom's throne. On her 14th birthday, as per tradition, she receives the family's heirloom wand. However, due to her energetic and silly nature, she accidentally sets fire to the family castle. As a result, her parents, King River and Queen Moon Butterfly, decide to send her to Earth as a foreign exchange student. Once on Earth, Star befriends Marco Diaz and lives with his family in suburban Los Angeles while attending Echo Creek Academy. Together, they go on various misadventures using dimensional scissors that can open portals. Throughout their challenges, Star and Marco balance everyday school life with a greater challenge, protecting Star's wand from Ludo, a creature from Muni who leads a group of monsters intent on stealing it. With that, let's get right into it. On Princess Star Butterfly's 14th birthday in the Kingdom of Muni, she's set to receive the royal magic wand from her parents. Despite her mother's warning about responsibility,
"Don't worry, Mom, I can handle it,"
Star immediately causes chaos, even setting the kingdom on fire. As a result, her parents decide to send her to Earth to learn to use her powers safely.
Goodbye, Muni.
On Earth, Star's parents enroll her at Echo Creek Academy, where she's assigned Marco Diaz as a guide. Initially, Marco is frightened by Star's magical antics. However, he soon discovers that Star will be staying with his family during her time on Earth. At the same time, Ludo Avarius's minion, Buff Frog, has been observing Star. Consequently, he reports back to the villainous Ludo about Star's location on Earth. Back on Earth, Star uses her magic to create a castle loft for herself. However, when she tries to do the same for Marco, she accidentally creates a black hole. Despite her attempts to cheer him up, Marco becomes frustrated and leaves the house. Later that night, Marco encounters Star outside a convenience store. As Star apologizes and offers to leave, they are suddenly interrupted by the arrival of Ludo and his minions. Consequently, a fight breaks out, with Marco surprisingly demonstrating his karate skills. Together, Star and Marco successfully defeat Ludo's forces. Marco is impressed with his and Star's teamwork, to which Star admits that he is right. Becoming serious again, Star goes to pack her belongings. However, Marco quickly stops her and says he wants her to stay with his family, and Star thanks him with a hug. As the two return home, Marco is excited about fighting more forces of evil, and Star pokes fun at his wild man personality. At the Diaz household, Marco makes nachos for Star. But their plans are interrupted by the arrival of Ponyhead, Star's old friend. Star convinces Marco to join Ponyhead for a night out, despite Marco's concerns about Ponyhead's hostility. They head to the Bounce Lounge, where tensions rise between Marco and Ponyhead. Marco warns Star about Ponyhead's possessiveness, leading Star to acknowledge it. The situation escalates when Ponyhead spots masked men searching for her. She opens a portal to the Amethyst Arcade, but her behavior causes Star to feel betrayed. At the arcade, masked men confront Marco about Ponyhead's location. Ponyhead, realizing her mistake, returns with Star and sacrifices herself to the masked men to help Star and Marco escape. Just as a fight seems difficult, King Ponyhead unexpectedly appears. Subsequently, Ponyhead reveals the truth. She's being sent to St. Olga's reform school for wayward princesses, and wanted one last night of fun with Star. Despite their earlier conflicts, Star thanks Ponyhead for helping save Marco. In turn, Ponyhead accepts Marco as Star's other best friend. After a heartfelt group hug, the guards take Ponyhead away, but not before she addresses Marco by his real name, signifying their newfound respect. As the others depart, Star expresses joy at Marco and Ponyhead's reconciliation. Although Marco initially worries they're stranded, Star reveals Ponyhead's dimensional scissors. Consequently, they now have the freedom to travel anywhere in the universe. Nevertheless, Marco suggests they return home for a simple evening of TV and nachos. A battle is taking place between Star, Marco, and Ludo's army. During the fight, Lobster Claws, one of Ludo's minions, fails to capture Star's wand, so Ludo fires him for his incompetence. Later, when Star and Marco return from school, they find Lobster Claws still in their backyard. However, instead of fighting, Lobster Claws express a desire to become good. As a result, Marco decides to teach him about kindness and consideration. Despite Marco's efforts, Lobster Claws struggles to understand and apply these lessons. For instance, he attempts to eat a cat he just rescued and even tries to devour a little girl. Nevertheless, Marco persists in his teachings. When they encounter a house on fire,
My baby is still inside!
Lobster Claws seems to make progress by attempting a rescue. However, his good deed is quickly overshadowed when he kidnaps an ice cream vendor and gorges himself on ice cream. Despite Lobster Claws' attempts to help an elderly lady, he inadvertently causes chaos.
Where's a sprinkler?
Consequently, the trio watches a news report about the damage he caused. In response, Star and Lobster Claws devise a plan to help him regain his position with Ludo. Later, Star lures Ludo and his minions to the backyard, pretending to be asleep. As planned, Lobster Claws feigns attacking Star, impressing Ludo. However, when Lobster Claws grabs the wand, it transforms him into a more aggressive being. Suddenly torn between his evil nature and newfound goodness, Lobster Claws hesitates. Taking advantage of this moment, Marco kicks the wand back to Star, who then defeats Ludo's army. Before retreating, Ludo, intrigued by Lobster Claws' brief possession of the wand, allows him to rejoin. Although Star believes there was some good in Lobster Claws, Marco remains skeptical, especially after Lobster Claws punches him through the portal. At Echo Creek Academy, Tom, a demon, arrives to invite Star to the Blood Moon Ball. Although Star initially declines due to their past, Tom persuades her by showcasing his anger management progress. Marco's unexpected presence nearly triggers Tom's anger, but Tom manages to stay composed. Despite Marco's concerns, Star decides to attend the ball alone,
Don't look, I'm gonna change.
asking him to trust her. At the Blood Moon Ball, Star finds the event dull, discovering that Tom deliberately made it boring to impress her. The organizer announces that the Blood Moon will bind two souls together for eternity when its light shines through the skylight. Marco, in disguise, approaches Star during the dance. As the light hits them, Marco reveals his identity, and they prepare to leave. Tom, enraged by Marco's interference, shoves him and attempts to attack, but Star intervenes by freezing Tom in ice. Returning home, Star yells at Marco for not trusting her to take care of herself. She understands he was only trying to look out for her, but tells him he needs to let her figure things out on her own. Star would rather have a friend than a hero.
I don't need a hero. I need a friend.
Marco sits beside her and apologizes for ruining her night, but Star admits she enjoyed their dance. After sharing a laugh over mysteriously saying the same thing, Star commands Marco to make her some nachos. Star is mirror chatting with Ponyhead on her birthday. Star starts singing the birthday song, and Ponyhead acts very happy. Because happiness shows individuality, Ponyhead is sent to solitude at St. Olga's Reform School for Wayward Princesses. As the chat ends, Star turns to see Marco entering her bedroom and convinces him to help rescue Ponyhead. Using the dimensional scissors, they arrive at St. Olga's and spot some new arrivals. They use the wand to transform their looks and blend in, then sneak into the school and disappear from the group. They find Ponyhead transformed into a formal, fancy princess. To leave, they need to break the barrier blocking the use of the dimensional scissors. Just as they're about to leave, a guard catches them. They run into a crowded hall full of princesses, where Marco starts a rebellion to create a distraction. They find a laundry chute, and Star takes Ponyhead down it while Marco gets caught by the guards and sent to solitude. He's forced to watch videos on becoming a princess, and tries to escape using a bobby pin, but drops it. Meanwhile, Star feels hopeless and starts crying. Ponyhead rips up a princess poster, transforming back into her old self, and they decide to rescue Marco. Ponyhead and Star break in, rescue Marco, and break the barrier. Star and Marco are about to take Ponyhead to the Bounce Lounge to celebrate her birthday, but Ponyhead decides to stay and help the other princesses escape. Star and Marco quickly return home. Miss Heinous, the headmistress of St. Olga's, finds the bobby pin Marco dropped in solitude, puts it in a test tube to trace its origin, discovers it's from Earth, and becomes determined to destroy the two princesses who messed with her school. Star organizes a reenactment of Munipendence Day at the Diaz household, celebrating the 37th of Grobnak with friends divided into Mumins and monsters. Despite Marco's reluctance and suggestion of lunch instead, Star insists on continuing with the reenactment. The all-seeing eye is set up for viewing, and while Marco is uneasy, Ludo and Toffee secretly observe. Buff Frog, recently dismissed by Ludo, is disheartened, but is given a new task by Toffee to steal Star's wand using a mini portal while she is distracted. During the reenactment, Star's preparations result in poorly made monster costumes and oversized Mumin armor. Marco's attempts to fix the situation are misinterpreted by Star, exacerbating the problem. As Star grows increasingly uneasy, Buff Frog, disguised as Ferguson, sneaks into Star's tower to steal the wand. However, his attempt fails when Toffee's staff does not open the portal and Star catches him, with Francis flipping him over. Star, realizing it's Buff Frog, chases him, but ultimately spares him. Marco suggests they all go inside for some corn. Back at the castle, Ludo berates Buff Frog for his failure, and Toffee convinces Ludo to fire him. At home, Star leaves a plate of fresh corn for a sad Buff Frog sitting in a tree. Star and Marco visit another dimension for a sandwich, but return with only half as a monster attacks. After arguing, Marco goes missing, and Star learns from the fly monster that she must bring her wand to Ludo's castle to save him. Ludo tries to recruit Buff Frog by offering tadpoles for adoption. Star, Ludo, and Buff Frog join forces against Toffee, who has taken over Ludo's castle. They find Marco imprisoned in a glass box. Star blasts Toffee's arm off and fights his army, but fails to free Marco as the box regenerates. Toffee demands Star destroy her wand to save Marco. Reluctantly, she uses the whispering spell, destroying the wand and seeing the unicorn spirit briefly, causing the wand to explode and obliterate Ludo's castle. Marco and Star are shielded by the box. Ludo, emerging from an egg, is banished by Star. Vincenzo, a new unicorn, repairs the wand. The Diaz parents arrive with the Muni army, and Star's mother, Moon Butterfly, permits her to run after them. The king and queen contact Glossaric, who says the wand can be fully repaired if all its pieces remain, though half of the Star faceplate is still in the monster's realm. Star makes a video stream on Marco's laptop, recapping previous events while Marco showers. Suddenly, her new wand vibrates and flies around, getting caught in the magic instruction book and locking itself and a nude Marco in Star's closet. As Marco dresses in available fabrics, he and Star struggle to open the door. Glossaric arrives and gives vague advice, telling Marco he needs to find Star's secret to escape. The closet is infinitely large, so Marco dives in to search. Meanwhile, Glossaric talks to Star, who tries to break into the closet with a giant sword. He tells her she doesn't need the wand to use magic and can create it on her own by dipping down.
Dip down.
Star doubts herself, but Glossaric bluntly reminds her that her mom did it, much to her annoyance. Marco decides to organize the closet, getting little help from Glossaric, while Star tries various methods to open it. She calls her mother, who advises her to lose everything.
You have to summon everything you have.
Which Star interprets literally, throwing everything at the closet and blocking progress. Glossaric examines Star's wand and finds a disturbing green-eyed horse inside. He then directs Marco to a diary, which Star finds horrifying when Marco reads Chapter 11. Thoughts on Marco. Overcome with emotion, Star manages to dip down and unlock the door. She then hits Marco with the diary. Glossaric returns with the cleaned wand, and Star's spell creates a new tower covered in green slime. Marco mentions needing new pants, and Glossaric claims the new tower for himself. At the end of Storm the Castle, Star banishes Ludo through a portal using his dimensional scissors. Floating through space, Ludo is hit by a comet and ends up in a forest, where he loses his bag of chips. To find food, he attempts to trick a bird by throwing a chick out of its nest and taking its place, but the bird drops him twice. On the second drop, he lands on a spider web. The spider, unimpressed with Ludo's taste, releases him. On day 37, starving, Ludo follows the spider to its fishing hole. He catches a fish with his beard while the spider steals and eats it, leaving Ludo with only the tail. Ludo eventually finds his stolen chips, but the spider grabs them. After a struggle, Ludo retrieves the chips and, despite the conflict, shares some with the spider. On day 65, Ludo and the spider are working together, catching fish. They capture the bird who is on Ludo's side by day 90. After finally settling down, Ludo is visited by what appears to be Star, and he chases after her with the bird and spider. When he catches up to her, Star disappears, but Ludo discovers the other half of the magic wand nearby and realizes he is on Muni. The day counter suddenly resets to day 1. Ludo, along with Bald Eagle and Giant Spider, goes to a bar filled with rats. He orders porridge but gets a bowl of mud and crud instead. When Ludo tries to use his half-wand to threaten the bartender, it fails, and he is mocked and thrown out. Meanwhile, on Earth, Star builds Muni warships in bottles. Marco reminds her to take out the trash before his parents return. Star, unaware her wand briefly turned green, conjures Cloudy to clean up, but Cloudy turns green and acts lethargic. Star seeks advice from Glossaric, who, suffering from a headache, blames her without offering solutions. In the desert, Ludo wonders why his wand isn't working. When Spider tries to take it, the wand fires a bolt of energy. Ludo tries again to use his wand, but is tossed around by Bald Eagle and Giant Spider, causing the wand to fire off energy. Meanwhile, Star's conjured Cloudy begins causing chaos by dumping trash and creating a storm above the house. Star and Marco struggle to control him, but Cloudy's rage worsens the situation. Ludo returns to the bar, eats the mud he was given, and defeats the rats with a destructive blast. Back home, Star's magic turns pink, allowing her to calm Cloudy and rescue Marco. Mr. and Mrs. Diaz return to find the house in disarray. Everyone helps clean up, and Star sets aside her wand for now, while Ludo, at the bar, asks for porridge. Buff Frog, raising his tadpole children, realizes he has no food for them and contacts his friend Boo Fly for help. Despite Boo Fly's doubts about taking the job due to fatherhood, Buff Frog insists on helping and leaves his children with Star and Marco on Earth. Returning to Muni, he joins Boo Fly and his team, Dog Bull, a female porcupine, and a tortoise bird creature. After an initial challenge from Dog Bull, they discover rats secretly passing corn, indicating they've stolen from the Mumins. Buff Frog captures a rat, but drops it after having a vision of his babies. Unable to torture the rat, he shows it pictures of his children and calls them before letting the rat go. Dog Bull confronts Buff Frog angrily after he releases the rat, but Boo Fly covers for him, saying it was a tactic to track the rats. Boo Fly privately warns Buff Frog that he won't protect him in the future. Buff Frog accidentally scares away the rats with noisy baby toys. The team turns against Buff Frog, who regains motivation upon realizing the importance of his role. He helps rescue the team from River Butterfly's accidental flame spell, and they discover a cornfield with a force field. Buff Frog is thanked and returns to his children, while the rats continue to bring corn back to Ludo. Ludo hears a mysterious voice from his wand urging him to pursue Star Butterfly, which he reluctantly decides to follow. Meanwhile, Glossaric is training Star to use her wand effectively, but she resists, preferring her Narwhal Blast and dismissing other spells. Feeling unappreciated, Glossaric hides in a donut box after Star calls him not her friend. Star and Marco try to coax him out by taking the box to the movies, where they end up causing a mess and disturbing other patrons. They later attempt to stage a fake monster scenario, but Glossaric sees through it, further straining their efforts to reconcile. Star and Marco drop Glossaric's donut box into a garbage bin, which is then taken by a truck. They chase after it, But Ludo, along with Spider and Eagle, arrives. Star and Ludo, each with a half of the wand, engage in a weak magical duel. Marco fights Spider and Eagle with mixed results. As the truck crushes the donut box, Glossaric frees himself, and Star uses the spellbook to summon a Warnicorn stampede that forces Ludo and his minions back through the portal. Glossaric claims his earlier behavior was a ploy to better evaluate the situation. Marco accepts this odd explanation, and Ludo, returning to his lair, eagerly informs his wand about a book. Star hosts a sleepover with Ponyhead, Jackie Lynn, Jana, and StarFan13. After consuming some awful brownies, they watch Marco try to impress Jackie Lynn with a synthesizer. Ponyhead suggests playing Truth or Punishment, a sinister version of Truth or Dare. Despite Marco's reluctance, they begin, and the box demands they always tell the truth. The first question about favorite colors reveals someone is lying, and Jana admits her favorite is pink to defy stereotypes. The box then traps them in Star's loft and questions their opinions on the brownies. Everyone except Marco lies about their dislike of the brownies, leading to facial distortions. The box insists they finish the game despite their attempts to leave. During a sleepover, the group plays Truth or Punishment, where the final question is about crushes. Jackie Lynn admits to liking a guy from skate camp. Star says Oscar Greason, StarFan13 says Star Butterfly, Ponyhead says herself. Jana mentions poet John Keats, and Marco reveals he likes Jackie Lynn, surprising her. The box claims someone is lying and turns into a monster, attacking the group. Star and Jackie Lynn admit they are unsure about their truths, which deflates the box and restores normalcy. The box is discarded with the garbage. As the trash is compacted, the box springs to life, about to reveal Star's crush, but is destroyed before it can speak. Buff Frog, after being captured by Meat Fork, is forced to work at a corn-churning device in an underground tunnel with other imprisoned monsters. He learns that the corn is processed and then sent down a hole, with disobedient monsters punished by being thrown down a different hole. That night, Buff Frog escapes, climbs to the surface, and discovers a cornfield owned by the boss. He then falls down another hole and finds that the corn is turned into cornmeal in a lower level. Buff Frog discovers a room with a model of Muni Castle that rats play on. Meat Fork reveals he also wants to escape. They reach the top floor, but Meat Fork is attacked by dark magic from Ludo, the cornfield's owner. Ludo orders Eagle to swallow Buff Frog, but his wand commands him to offer Meat Fork's old job to Buff Frog instead. Buff Frog knocks out Ludo and tries to seize the wand, but Spider webs it up. Buff Frog escapes with Meat Fork. After parting ways, he reflects on his choice to refuse Ludo's offer and, inspired by thoughts of his children, resolves to warn Star Butterfly. Star's spells are disfigured, so she calls Glossaric, who advises her to enter her wand to investigate contamination. Ignoring her mother's ban, Star and Glossaric enter a memory of Star's room. Glossaric vanishes when Star gets distracted by a memory of Marco. Trapped in a repetitive loop outside her school, Star finds Marco's hoodie in a locker, but can't resolve the issue. Following a goat sound, she discovers Lil Chauncey, her mother's pig goat. Believing Chauncey is the problem, Star tries to summon Glossaric again, but fails. Chauncey steals a boot and sits in King Butterfly's rocking chair. Star, riding the chair driven by Chauncey, encounters an alternate version of herself who warns her that staying in the wand will overwrite her timeline. At the castle, Star finds a room of ancestral tapestries, discovering her mother's fierce depiction as a princess who fought Toffee. She sees a machine working on a tapestry representing herself and reunites with Glossaric, who emerges from the unfinished tapestry. Glossaric warns her that seeing herself was a bad sign and insists they leave. Star realizes the contaminant is a severed finger from Queen Moon's tapestry. Past versions of Star converge on the finger, but Star grabs it, and Glossaric takes her out of the wand just in time. Back in the real world, they are relieved to have fixed the wand. Glossaric, searching for the perfect chip from his Cornritos bag, advises Star to find a spell in the magic instruction book. Star discovers a locked page guarded by a skull and demands to see it, using Glossaric's chip as leverage. Before he can reveal the page, Glossaryck is forcibly transported to the Magic High Commission by a mysterious summons. There, he is met by Sean, a teleporting doorman who informs him that magic is prohibited inside the building. Star, left alone, is intrigued by the locked page and remains uncertain about her next move. At the Diaz house, Star, eager to access the forbidden spell, dismisses Marco's concerns and continues to study the locked page. Glossaryck, frustrated with interruptions, finally confronts the Magic High Commission. Lekmet, Rhombulus, Hekapu, and Omnitraxus Prime, who were summoned by Moon due to disappearing magic. Glossaryck argues with them and criticizes Moon for her rigid expectations of Star's training. Moon, moved by his words, agrees to leave Star and Glossaryck alone. Upon returning, Glossaryck finds Star disinterested in the forbidden spell and relieved. However, he discovers Marco floating in a dark void with glowing eyes. Glossaryck casually informs Star that there is a spell to fix Marco. A century ago, Bon Bon the birthday clown promised to return to Echo Creek and make everyone laugh again. Now Star and Marco face a conflict. Star promised Jana to help celebrate Bon Bon's return at 7 o'clock, which clashes with Marco's school dance with Jackie Lynn. Despite Star's disappointment, she supports Marco and Jackie Lynn. At the Diaz house, Star and Jana prepare for Bon Bon's return, while Marco impresses everyone with his dance attire. At the cemetery, Star and Jana prepare for Bon Bon's arrival, but Star is upset over Marco's switch from her to Jackie Lynn. Jana argues with Glossaryck about Bon Bon's nose and accidentally deletes their pre-dance photo, calming Star. Meanwhile, Marco and Jackie Lynn leave the disappointing dance and decide to go on a real date. Marco and Jackie Lynn enjoy a park date, where she helps him overcome his nervousness and teaches him to skate. Star tries calling Marco, but he left his phone behind. Using a spell from a drowsy Glossaryck, Star spies on Marco and Jackie Lynn having fun, leading her to accidentally sabotage their skate session, which ends with Marco pulling away after a kiss due to seeing the blood moon. At the cemetery, Star and Jana prepare for Bon Bon's arrival, but Ludo attacks instead. As Star and Jana battle Ludo and his minions, Star creates a black hole that accidentally sucks in both Ludo and the real Bon Bon. Marco and Jackie Lynn arrive and help close the portal, rescuing Star, but not before Ludo steals the book and Glossaryck. Marco promises Star they'll recover what was lost, while Glossaryck becomes Ludo's servant. Still shaken from the previous night, Star packs weapons and personal belongings to retrieve the book and Glossaryck from Ludo. Marco urges her to stay calm and suggests calling Moon, but Star refuses, wanting to handle the situation herself and avoid upsetting her mother. They visit Buff Frog, who has been sending letters about Ludo's plans, but his writings are undecipherable because he is illiterate. Buff Frog directs them to Ludo's lair. At the corn-shucking lair, Star and Marco find it occupied by harmless alternative monsters rather than Ludo. Star uses the all-seeing eye spell to locate Glossaryck, who seems calm but refuses to help, stating Ludo now owns the book. Glossaryck cryptically tells Star, "Maybe this is what you need," before the spell ends. The monsters show their appreciation for Star for being the rebel princess, which boosts confidence back in her. Taking Marco's advice, they head back home and tell Moon and River about what happened, who, to their surprise, take the news well and inform her to just sit tight and that they will handle it. As Marco heads to bed, Star decides to start over and begins testing her spells whilst also writing in a notebook using the pen feature of her wand. Moon decides to evaluate Star despite River's objections. Believing Star should stay in school, she summons Baby, a small kitten with butterfly wings, for the assessment. At the Diaz house, Star prepares an elaborate feast and cleans her room to impress Baby. However, Baby finds numerous issues. Star's wand is broken, her magic notebook is a college planner, and her spells are poorly executed. Star's attempts to use magic to perform simple tasks fail, leading Baby to list her problems and criticize her undisciplined approach. Despite Star's frustration, Baby's evaluation underscores significant concerns with Star's magical skills and readiness. Overcome with sadness, Star uses as much focused magic on the apple, but it only seems to cut it evenly in half.
Goodbye, Princess.
Soon afterwards, one of the seeds inside grows an entire tree with a branch reaching out to give Baby a single, unaffected apple to her. Baby tells Star that she has passed and leaves, with Marco proud of her. Back on Muni, Baby tells Moon what she has witnessed, but tells her that despite her flaws, she managed to pass, and that her skill level actually exceeds her own. She adds that she has not seen anyone with magic quite like Star's since Queen Eclipsa, shocking Moon and River. In the morning, Marco's puppies wake him, and despite heavy rain, he uses Star's dimensional scissors to open a portal to the park. His misuse of the scissors causes a malfunction, pulling him into a new dimension where Hekapoo, the scissors enforcer, confronts him. She reveals that she forged the scissors and challenges Marco to blow out a flame above her head. Marco's persistence impresses Hekapoo, leading to a series of tests and encounters with her duplicates across various dimensions. Star discovers the scissors were stolen and seeks help from Ponyhead to track Marco. After 16 years of survival and conflict, Marco confronts Hekapoo, who eventually gives him a pair of scissors. Star arrives, revealing that only 8 minutes have passed on Earth, and urges Marco to return home, but he has become attached to his new life. However, when Star reminds him of his friends and family, he has a change of heart and returns home with Star, leaving his dragon cycle, Nachos, in Hekapoo's care. Upon returning to Earth, Marco's body has reverted to that of a teenager, meaning he and Star can still go on adventures together. As Star leaves to make some nachos, Marco tries to settle back into his old life, having been away for 16 chronological years. Star sneaks a bowl of Captain Blanche's sugar seeds late at night, but is frozen in a crystal by Rhombulus, a magic High Commission member. Rhombulus, whose hands are covered in socks, freezes Marco as well and takes them both to the crystal dimension. He presents Star to Lekmet, who is angered by Rhombulus's claim that she is causing a magical malfunction. Rhombulus's snake hands break free from their socks to oppose him. In a panic, Rhombulus crystallizes Lekmet, but when he tries to get answers from Star, she explains that she isn't causing any issues. Rhombulus admits he freezes people based on a gut feeling and questions if Marco or Lekmet are evil, realizing they are not. Overcome with guilt, he begins to regret his actions. Star and Rhombulus talk and bond over their mutual annoyance of Glossaric. Apologizing for his actions, Rhombulus gives Star one of the crystals, and she thanks him for it. She promises not to tell the Commission about what he did on the condition that he would not mention how she lost Glossaric to them. He agrees, as he is the only person who can understand Lekmet anyway. Star takes Marco back home with Rhombulus unfreezing him before leaving. Marco awakens, freaked about by the recent events, but Star convinces him it was all a dream. Ludo arrives at his new temple hideout on Muni to see his prisoner Glossaric. To his surprise, he is very cordial and carefree, and is open to teaching him anything from the spellbook that he stole from Star. Ludo asks if his training will be hard, and Glossaric answers if he wants it to be. He has him push the book around and is tired, confusing him as that is what he wanted. Ludo says he does not know what he wants and needs guidance for the first time in his life. Glossaric shows Ludo a page for the spell Levitato, and has him try it on an apple. After a couple of failed attempts, Ludo finally manages to get the hang of it. He asks if he is better than Star now, to which he admits that he is at least following his directions and reading from the book. Over the course of the day, Ludo practices the spell with Glossaric making progress. Afterwards, Ludo has him tuck him and the wand in bed at night. Ludo later wakes up in the middle of the night excited and unable to sleep. The wand tells him that Glossaric is holding back on him about a secret page. Ludo wakes up Glossaric and demands that he show it to him. As he looks at it, a giant force of dark energy hits him, and he is suddenly possessed by Toffee. He tells Glossaric that he'll never get Ludo on his side, but Glossaric says he doesn't have a side. In response to this, Toffee laughs and says, "Excellent." Moon reminds Star to write a song for Song Day, a royal Muni tradition, but Star dismisses it as unimportant, especially after hearing Moon's rendition. Moon informs her that Rubariat, a songstrel, will help with the song. Star avoids Rubariat, making noise with Cloudy instead. Moon visits the Avarius family's squalid home, learning that Ludo took over their castle. The youngest sibling, Dennis, spies on the moon. Star returns and initially resists staying with Rubariot, but Marco convinces her to stay, claiming she is anything but ordinary. Meanwhile, Dennis follows Moon, seeking help for his older brother, Ludo. Moon discovers Ludo has the other half of the wand and decides to leave immediately. Ludo senses their presence. Star, frustrated with Rubariot, calls him a hack and accuses him of writing a phony song. To her surprise, Rubariot is aware of past puff piece songs and wants to create something different. He leaves, leaving Star feeling guilty. When Moon returns, she promises Dennis she will deal with Ludo, but must also attend Song Day. At the celebration, Star and Marco join Moon, River, and the Magic High Commission to hear Rubariot's performance. He starts with The Ballad of Star Butterfly, a rock ballad celebrating Star's abilities, but then reveals sensitive details about losing the spellbook and glossaric to Ludo, and the butterfly's attempts to keep it secret. Moon and River are alarmed, and the High Commission is upset over the omission. Rubariot's final revelation about Star's feelings for Marco shocks everyone. Amidst the chaos, Star flees with Cloudy into the night. At the Diaz house's end-of-year party, Marco is anxious about Star's performance, and Jackie Lynn misinterprets his nervousness as embarrassment about his parents. They talk in the kitchen, leading to an awkward split. Star, seeing this, talks to her friends Ponyhead, Jana, Kelly, and Starfan13 about Rubariot's song and her feelings, but Ponyhead doubts Star's denial of a crush on Marco. They decide to distract Star with a wild party on a convenience store roof. Meanwhile, Moon and the Magic High Commission raid Ludo's hideout, finding his wand but discovering glossaric and the book are missing. Ludo reveals he blacked out after learning a new spell. Back at the party, Star bonds with Oscar, feeling better. Marco, advised by Raphael, resolves to talk things out with Star. Meanwhile, Ludo, now possessed by Toffee, defeats Moon and the High Commission, with Lekmet sacrificing himself to revive Moon, who escapes with the soulless bodies of her colleagues. Toffee warns Moon that he's coming for Star. Back at the Diaz house, Star and Marco have an honest conversation, clearing up their feelings. Star admits she doesn't have a crush on Marco, and they agree to stay best friends. However, when Moon arrives, she informs Star they must return to Muni due to Toffee's return. Star, distressed but resigned, takes 2 minutes to say goodbye. She publicly declares her crush on Marco before fleeing. Marco chases her, but by the time he reaches her room, the loft is gone, leaving only emptiness. The credits roll with Oscar's keytar, which he had hoped would land on Mars, crashing down in front of the house. A couple of days after Star crushed, Marco's parents try to console Marco, who will not stop thinking about Star, who, unbeknownst to him, is watching him with the seeing eye. Meanwhile, on Muni, Star and Moon Butterfly take the Magical High Commission members to the sanctuary to get revived, but their carriage breaks down because of the Fritz. As they try to set up camp for the night, some of Ludo's rats appear. Star, who still fails to understand that her wand is tainted, tries to attack them, but her and Moon getting distracted causes them to lose track of the Commission, who float away after the rats let them go. They get them out of a thorn tree before making it to the sanctuary. When they try to revive the members, they learn that the wellspring has been corrupted with dark magic. As they try to think of Plan B, Star accuses Moon of being afraid to fight back, but she tells her that she used to be carefree like her until Toffee killed her mother Comet, something Star was unaware of. Moon explains further how, in order to defeat Toffee the first time, she had to make a deal with Eclipsa, who she reveals is very much alive. In flashback, a teenage Moon has recently lost her mother and is pressured by her generals and the Commission to do something, either go to war or sign a peace treaty. The only person who shows her any compassion is River, while Glossaric is still sad to the point that he offers no help. She spots the forbidden page in the Book of Spells and decides to seek out the writer, her ancestor, Queen Eclipsa, who has been crystallized for an undefined crime. After partially unfreezing her, she agrees to teach her the spell on the condition that she will be freed, telling her that a queen's promise is more powerful than anything else. Upon teaching her the spell, Rhombulus refreezes her. Moon heads out to the monster camp to speak directly to the General Toffee. She threatens them and proceeds to fire off a spell that darkens her arms and blasts Toffee's finger off. When he realizes that his finger cannot grow back, the rest of the monsters flee in terror and Toffee calmly walks away. The generals and commission are shocked at Moon's resolve, but she tells them that she is their queen and she will do what is necessary. Ludo awakens to find that his wand is now embedded into his hand. He finds Glossaric attempting to make a solid fudge ball and asks what happened. He tells him that he defeated the commission, which makes him happy, and he tries to write his accomplishment into the book. However, the book will not let him, as Glossaric states that he is no longer the owner. Ludo tries in vain to have the book remain open for him, and even uses a spell that ends up blasting him miles away. After being tended to by mare people, Ludo treks back to the temple in an effort to get Glossaric to tell him more about not being the owner. He continues to be vague, and after talking directly to the book with no response, he angrily tosses it into the fire. Toffee takes over and tells Glossaric that while he wanted the book destroyed, Ludo did it for him. Glossaric fades away and Ludo comes to, regretting his actions. Toffee, through his hand, convinces him that they must attack Butterfly Castle. King River tries to take care of the kingdom by partying it up every day, but he and his subjects wear down quickly. While trying to restart another party, Marco arrives to see Star, but is taken aback at how unkempt the castle is. River tries to explain how because Moon and Star are gone, he has been left in charge. Marco points out how the kingdom is in disrepair and that all the citizens look unhappy. While trying to calm everyone down, River accidentally alerts a giant monster that begins terrorizing the town. River gives up in defeat, admitting that he needs common things like his clothes picked by Moon, who had left an entire room of prepared sets for him. Marco tells him that he needs to stand firm as he is in charge. With newfound confidence, River gives a pep talk to the Mumins and has them use their traits to defeat the monster. However, the monster simply misinterprets River's direction and promptly turns around and leaves.
What a waste of my day.
As everyone celebrates, they are caught off guard by Ludo arriving with his army. In the sanctuary, Star and Moon are startled when everything becomes covered in sludge. Star criticizes Moon for avoiding Toffee and decides to hide out at Buff Frog's house. Moon is shocked to see Star befriending a monster, but agrees to stay out of necessity. Buff Frog informs them that Ludo Toffee has taken over Butterfly Castle. When Moon refuses to assist, Star plans to sneak out. Buff Frog engages Moon in a biased board game, Puddle Defender, as a distraction. During their game, tensions rise between Moon and Buff Frog. Moon accuses Buff Frog of savagery and poor parenting understanding, while Buff Frog counters by highlighting Moon's lack of awareness. The argument escalates, and Buff Frog, who is protective of his own children, refuses to help Star escape and exposes her plan. As Star is sent to the bedroom, Moon apologizes to Buff Frog. However, Star learns that Katrina, the youngest tadpole, can talk and reveals a secret exit which the tadpoles use to go clubbing. Star reveals that she has no plan to defeat Toffee and will just run in head first, much to the tadpole's annoyance. Ludo has taken over the kingdom, but discovers that he is not popular at all, despite having merchandise. River and Marco have been imprisoned, and he demands that River make him popular, or else he will levitate him into the sky. He drops a stick of butter, which he was using to get a key around his neck, and Marco successfully slips out of his cuffs. However, River incompetently eats the butter, forcing Marco to go and find the key. He makes his way to Ludo's bedroom and discovers that Ruberiote, the minstrel, Fool Duke the Jester, and Mime Girl have been hiding in the vents and living off of Ludo's leftovers. Ludo returns, and Marco, in a Ludo mask, and the entertainers put on an impromptu show to distract him. However, the entertainers get into an argument and are kicked out. Luckily, they snagged the key and went to free River. However, River chooses to stay so that he can be close with his people. Ludo returns and takes River to levitate him into the sky. After doing so, Marco prepares the entertainers for war. Star gets captured while attacking Ludo, but she also realizes Toffee's manipulation. Marco and the entertainers try to rescue her, only to get captured themselves. While Moon and Buff Frog rescue Marco, Ludo realizes something is wrong and asks Star about his wand. Star uses the whispering spell, causing a huge explosion that transports her to the realm of magic. Here she encounters Toffee, who reveals that the Fritz is a result of him corrupting the realm. Toffee talks to Moon through Ludo and they make a deal. Toffee's finger for Star. Toffee is revived, but he doesn't honor the deal. Star desperately searches the realm of magic for untainted magic, eventually finding some with Glossoric's help. She is then revived with a new wand and Muberty form and gravely injures Toffee, allowing Ludo to finish him off. Ludo then returns to the void to find himself, while River is revealed to be alive, and returns to Muni. Remembering her pact with Eclipsa, Moon checks on her prison, which is still intact. However, after she leaves, it begins to crack. As Marco prepares to leave for Earth, he says heartfelt goodbyes to everyone, including Star, who gives him a long hug. He inquires about his missing hoodie, but Star promises to keep looking for it. After Marco departs, Star finds the hoodie hidden in her bed, sniffing it nostalgically.
Gross, Marco.
Ponyhead arrives, having just finished her hair, and finds Star's sentimental attachment to the stinky hoodie absurd. She criticizes Star's decision and throws the hoodie down the laundry chute to force her to move on. Star chases after it and encounters Sir Lavabo, a strict knight who has managed the castle's laundry service for 40 years. Sir Lavabo insists that the hoodie will take 48 hours to clean. Despite Ponyhead's urge to leave, Star is determined to retrieve the hoodie. Ponyhead joins her in confronting Sir Lavabo, frustrated by his rigid adherence to rules. After a chase through the laundry room, Star corners Sir Lavabo and traps him before he can toss it in the wash. He resigns himself to death, but Star tells him she just wanted her hoodie back and realizes that she has become obsessed. Sir Lavabo washes the hoodie, but tells her he put it on the gentle setting. Upon getting the hoodie back, Star claims that it still has Marco's scent, but Sir Lavabo tells her that it is only a memory, with Ponyhead adding that the earth turd scent is in her heart. Back on Earth, Marco receives his hoodie back and happily puts it back on. He sniffs it and comments that it smells like Star, pleasing him. Star is caring for a mentally diminished Glossoric, who can only repeat Globgore and behaves like a baby. While walking him, Glossoric encounters a calm, mysterious woman in the garden who helps him. Star befriends her, discovering the garden is her favorite place. However, Queen Moon and the Magic High Commission arrive, capturing the woman and revealing her as Queen Eclipsa, accusing her of treachery. The Commission subjects Star to tests for evil, which frustrates her as she views Eclipsa as gentle and misunderstood. Despite accusations of Eclipsa's manipulative nature and her love for a monster, Star argues that Eclipsa has not committed any evil acts. Moon insists on recrystallizing Eclipsa, shocking Star. Determined to stop this, Star escapes, retrieves her wand, and intervenes just in time to prevent Romulus from freezing Eclipsa again, arguing that Eclipsa did not taint Moon, but that Moon chose to learn dark magic from her. After arguing, she convinces her to at least hold a trial, and they all agree. Star has Eclipsa move to the Rose Tower, which actually used to be her own room. She tells her that even though she saved her from being crystallized, she still does not trust her, which she understands. The two then look out to admire the view of the garden. 3 months after saving Muni, Marco is at home, still obsessed with his experiences there and wearing the cape he earned. His mother, Angie, comments that his fixation on Muni is becoming annoying, comparing it to her own habit of pronouncing French words with a strong accent. Marco's friends, especially Alfonso and Ferguson, are irritated by his constant Muni references, though Jana finds them amusing. Sensei Brantley, seeing Marco's cape as a mere towel, gets upset when Marco boasts about earning it. Realizing he's become like the croissant girl by not listening to others, Marco decides to make amends with Jackie Lynn. He takes her out to Echo Creek Pier, where they enjoy their time, rescue a lobster from a tank, and release it into the sea. As they hug, Jackie Lynn discovers Marco is still wearing his cape underneath his clothes. She sits him down and tells him that she is giving an out. When he declares that she is his best friend, she tells him, "We both know that's not true," and leaves him for good. Marco decides to act as an exchange student for Mooney. As his friends and family see him off, Marco makes amends with Ferguson and Alfonso, gives Brantley a cape of his own, and gets his social security card back from Jana. He opens a portal and steps through, seeing Butterfly Castle in the distance. Star is relaxing in her room with a burrito when Marco unexpectedly enters through the window. Initially surprised, she is happy to see him. Tom then appears from the bathroom, and before Marco can greet him, Lady Husitz and the Knights of Muni burst in, mistaking Marco for a trespasser. Marco explains that King River promised he could be a knight and shows his cape, which the knights laugh at, calling it his meat blanket. Taken to River and Queen Moon, Marco learns he can't be a knight but can be a squire. Star offers to help him and introduces him to Sir Lavabo, the royal wash knight. Disappointed, Marco wanted to be closer to Star. Star vents to Eclipsa, who advises her to support Marco. Realizing the laundry is dangerous, Star rushes to save him. She enters the laundry room where she learns that Marco is in the lint catcher. Upon entering, she finds him in combat with a giant lint monster. The two team up to fight it as well as turn on the fan to defeat it. After exiting, Star apologizes to Marco and tells him that things have changed since he left and that she has been trying to be the best princess she can be. Marco admits that it was wrong to come without telling her, but when he tries to leave, Star instead takes him to another part of the castle and recreates his bedroom back on Earth while also bringing the laser puppies. Marco is ecstatic and Star decides to make him her official squire. Marco adopts his Princess Marco Turdina persona to check on St. Olga's reform school for wayward doing just fine princesses, with Star and Ponyhead accompanying him. Marco intends to reveal his true identity, but Ponyhead worries this will upset the princesses. They find the school has become a party house, with schedules only for brunch and partying. Marco hints at adding structure, but backs off when Princess Arms insists on following Turdina's rebellious ways. They learn the princesses idolize Turdina and have invited Marco to award him an honorary diploma. Star urges Marco to be honest, but Ponyhead argues that the truth will break the princesses' spirits. Marco surprisingly agrees to maintain the ruse. During his acceptance speech, he talks about being true to oneself. Just as he realizes his mistake and is about to confess, Miss Highness arrives. Highness reveals to all the princesses that Marco is a boy by showing them his chest hair. He comes clean about his status as a boy, but the princesses do not care and announce that Turdina is a state of mind. They all proceed to scare Highness and her minions away and return to partying. Marco is happy that he came clean and gets a photo with some princesses. Meanwhile, Highness is revealed to have kidnapped Princess Smooshy and apparently drained her essence to power herself. She announces her intention to get the good stuff, starting with Marco. While shopping in the market, Star witnesses a monster being kicked out by a Mewman for trying to shop there. The same Mewman almost does this to Tom, but apologizes upon recognizing him. Disturbed, Star asks Moon why certain beings like Ponyhead, Lekmet, Rombolus, Rich Pigeon, and Tom are treated differently from other monsters. Moon cites various reasons, including long-term friendships, importance, and wealth, which bothers Star. Moon reveals that Dr. Jelly Goodwell sets these rules based on her research. Frustrated, Star decides to confront Dr. Goodwell. After several wrong turns, Star finds Dr. Goodwell, an eccentric and possibly senile woman, who agrees that monsters lack respect. They visit Dr. Goodwell's treehouse lab overlooking Buff Frog's monster village. Dr. Goodwell, never having interacted with the monsters, believes bad things will happen if she does. She plans to cut off the top of a dam, thinking it's a monument, to isolate the monster village by redirecting the water flow. Dr. Goodwell activates the explosion, and Star is angered and runs to warn Buff Frog. He is unfazed, but when Dr. Goodwell accidentally shakes his hand with the detonator, it destroys the whole dam. All the monsters and Star band together to create a new dam, with Dr. Goodwell redeeming herself by helping. They all succeed, and Dr. Goodwell changes her philosophy. Instead of separating Mewmans from monsters, Mewmans should act like them and then proceed to get dirty. Star decides to hire Buff Frog as Mooney's new monster expert. Star wakes up to find her bed littered with goblin dog wrappers and no memory of getting them. Marco suspects she sleepwalked to the goblin dog truck, and a receipt she spits out confirms it. To investigate, Marco watches her sleep the next night but eventually falls asleep. He wakes to see Star, in her Muberty form, emerge from a dimensional portal with the entire goblin dog truck. When she returns to normal, Marco tells her what happened. Worried about her sleep portal and Muberty transformations, Star awkwardly asks her parents. Her father's exaggerated warning about chaos and imprisonment makes her more anxious. Deciding to keep her sleep portaling a secret, Star asks Marco to chain her to her bed and himself to her, so he'll wake if she moves. Later that night, Marco falls asleep but wakes up when Star transforms and opens a portal. She breaks free from the chains and flies through the portal, dragging Marco along. As they fly through the void between dimensions, Marco wakes Star, who attempts to fly back through the portal to Muni. Her Muberty form wears off before reaching the portal, leaving them adrift. Glossaric appears with a chain of clothes wrapped around him, helping Star and Marco return to Star's bedroom. Eclipsa, alerted by Glossaric's wandering, saves them. Marco is shocked to see Eclipsa, but Star, wanting to end the night, urges him out of her room. Star tells Eclipsa about her sleep portaling and asks how to stop it. Eclipsa encourages Star to embrace these dreams to discover her true capabilities, saying, "All knowledge is good knowledge." Despite Marco's concerns, Star decides to follow Eclipsa's advice. The next night, she sleeps and begins dimension hopping in her Muberty form while Marco watches with Glossaric in his lap. Star, Marco, and Ponyhead visit the Pigeon family castle to get Prince Rich Pigeon to sign a petition for Mumin and monster peace. They find the pigeons to be simply organized dumb birds who struggle to comprehend complex ideas. Star suggests Marco move Rich Pigeon's leg to make it look like he signed the petition, but Marco accidentally breaks his leg, prompting an army of pigeons to attack. Star, without her wand, and the others flee through the castle, eventually hiding in a painting room. They discover the pigeon's closet of legs and find a giant pair to use. As the pigeons break in, the trio runs through the castle but gets cornered. They try to smooth talk their way out, but Ponyhead reveals she stole treasure, and Rich Pigeon falls out from under her, admitting she kidnapped him for leverage. Star, Marco, and Ponyhead are placed in a bird cell and sentenced to death by pecking, which annoys more than threatens them. Rich Pigeon, now in a leg cast, speaks in full English, having broken pigeon law to learn the Mumin language. He demands their release and signs the petition, advocating for change among the pigeons. Everyone celebrates with a feast of worms to Ponyhead's disgust. Marco has been traveling with Hekapoo to close portals and enjoys their adventures together. When he returns to Muni, Star, who is injured while walking Glossaric, asks for his help. Marco lies, claiming he was fishing, and Star reluctantly accepts his help, asking him to be there for her and Glossaric while she helps her dad clean the sewers. That night, Marco is late to assist Hekapoo with a portal causing a flood of human-faced cats. Hekapoo warns him to be more reliable. Back at the castle, Star discovers her room in disarray and realizes Marco has been dimension hopping, not fishing. Marco apologizes and gives Star his dimensional scissors as a promise to stay put. Despite this, he sneaks out at night to meet Hekapoo and the obnoxious Talon Reventalon, agreeing to let Talon join their mission. They head out into the middle of the desert where Hekapoo has been tracking the portals. Talon wants to use a harpoon on whatever is making them, but Marco begins fighting him when the portal maker turns out to be Star in her butterfly form. Hekapoo prevents Star from being hit and then gets mad at Marco for not telling her about it. Marco, using his adult voice, convinces her not to tell the High Commission, but she tells him that they are through working together. Marco returns to Muni and tells Star about what happened and then reveals the map that Hekapoo had to track the portals. Star, with Marco and Janna, decides to sleep to discover where she goes in her butterfly form. Janna hypnotizes Star, attaching her shell phone to track her movements. Star transforms and flies through various dimensions, eventually entering a giant glowing portal in space, dropping the phone and losing the signal. Star wakes in the realm of magic, now restored, and is greeted by baby mill horses and an older mill horse she created to revive her wand. Urged to stay, Star agrees in a dreamlike state. Back in her room, Marco panics, unable to reach Star with dimensional scissors. He picks up her wand, which conforms to him. Marco uses the all-seeing eye spell, causing glowing crescent marks to appear on his cheeks. Back in the magic realm, Star has completely forgotten her name and everything else. Marco appears through the all-seeing eye to tell Star to come home. She remembers and transforms, taking off through a portal back to her own room. Star arrives to see her room in disrepair, caused by Marco's attempt to enter the realm, but is glad to see that he and Jana are okay. Her wand reconfirms to her and she reveals a new ability, transforming between Mumin and butterfly forms at will. When Marco expresses some slight reluctance that Star's problems are not over, she and Jana put him to sleep with chicken butt. Star decides to hold a party that unites both Mumins and monsters at an old palace. But when guests start disappearing one by one under unknown circumstances, she and Marco investigate. They soon discover in the palace's underground chamber that Mina Loveberry has been camping out, capturing unsuspecting monsters to keep order. At the same time, Miss Heinous barges in on them to get her revenge on Marco, only for her to recognize the chamber was once her old nursery as a young child. In a stunning revelation to Star and Marco, Mina explains that Miss Heinous is, in actuality, Eclipsa's daughter Meteora, thus making her a butterfly. Before Mina can capture Meteora, Star demands to know more, but it leads to a conflict between the two. The party guests flee as the Magic High Commission raid the palace, leaving Star only further curious about these turn of events. Miss Heinous is last seen fleeing into the woods, where she readopts her true name as Meteora. Queen Moon is in her study when Star bursts in, declaring a crisis. Heinous is actually Eclipsa's daughter Meteora. Moon dismisses this, scolding Star for a party at the temple and denying knowledge of calling Rhombulus to freeze everyone. She tells Star to leave, prompting Star to plan another confrontation. But River intervenes with a new plan, hunting in the forest of certain death. River consumes Star's shell phone, introduces her to Eddie, a plant expert, and outlines their quest to capture the bog beast of Bogaba. They perform rituals, including a sauna to sweat away fears, camouflage training, and braiding hair with mixed results. After Star's errors, River decides they need to repeat everything and sleep until morning, frustrating Star. Star is suddenly awoken by a strange sound, and in an anger-induced state, dons hunting gear and turns her wand into a bow to fight. She runs headfirst into the woods and gets caught and stuck in mud. As the beast draws near, it is revealed to be River awarding Star with a giant headdress. Numerous country Mumins appear, and reveal that the Bog Beast of Bogaba is a title given to those who run impulsively into danger, such as Eddie, who has been the Bog Beast twice. I never learn. Realizing that she should take things easily, Star decides to stay and party for the night. The next morning, Star returns to the castle covered in mud. She calmly walks up to Moon's door, knocks on it, and waits patiently. Queen Moon, frustrated with Star, investigates Miss Heinous' claim of being Eclipsa's daughter. She visits Eclipsa, who insists her daughter was Meteora, not Festivia. Moon agrees to check the royal archive, sneaking Eclipsa into the bureaucracy of magic. They find a secret entrance but nearly get caught by Sean, whom Moon accidentally erases from memory. Eclipsa sings to navigate a maze and opens the locked archive door through a rat hole while Moon gets stuck. A spider hypnotizes Moon and steals her crown. Eclipsa rescues Moon, and they discover that Eclipsa's history scroll has been altered to replace Meteora with Festivia. Eclipsa is distressed, but Moon reassures her they will uncover the truth. As they leave, Moon accidentally triggers an alarm. They escape the archive before the Magic High Commission arrives, and Moon retrieves her crown from the spider. Back at the palace, Moon suspects the scroll was tampered with to conceal something and has a potential culprit in mind. She also tells Eclipsa that her daughter might still be alive after 300 years, just as Star returns from her hunting trip with River. Queen Moon and the Magic High Commission are preparing for Eclipsa's trial, with Eclipsa attending casually to seek answers. Hekapoo is irritated by Star's presence, but Moon allows her to stay since the trial was Star's idea. Sean, the commission's typist, is also present. The trial begins with Moon presenting stacks of unverified evidence against Eclipsa, leading Eclipsa to propose trial by box, using the truth or punishment box from Star's sleepover. During the trial, Eclipsa confirms her involvement in the evil chapter of the Book of Spells, her elopement with a monster, and acknowledges causing psychological harm, though she denies remorse. The Commission quickly finds her guilty, but Eclipsa asks about her daughter. The Commission denies knowledge, and the Box of Truth reveals this as a lie by shrinking and encasing everyone. Star accuses the Commission of incompetence, and Romulus breaks down and admits that they got rid of her. Omnitraxus admits that King Shastakhan, Eclipsa's husband, wanted nothing to do with Meteora, so they got rid of her and replaced her with a peasant girl instead. Moon and Star reveal that they set up the whole trial to get the Commission to confess their deed with Star, realizing that she and Moon are not royal by blood, and therefore not related to Eclipsa. She solemnly releases her, and she runs in sympathy. Marco accidentally reads a letter in the monster expert office, discovering that Buff Frog and his babies have left Mooney, which shocks him. Star, feeling stressed and unable to confide in anyone, talks to Tom, who is trying to be supportive. Marco interrupts, revealing the letter, and Tom, wanting quality time with Star, asks Marco if he can take his place on the adventure. Marco agrees, and Tom joins Star. At Buff Frog's house, they find it in disrepair, and Tom's nonchalant attitude frustrates Star. They then visit the monster village, which is also empty. They are suddenly hit by darts, captured by monsters, and restrained. In a comical struggle, Buff Frog arrives just in time to rescue them. The letter was revealed to have been written by Katrina, Buff Frog's youngest, and the reason for their messy house was simply due to rough parenting. Buff Frog reveals that he and the other monsters are leaving Muni. Star is upset and wants them to stay, but they tell her that it is not safe. Tom reveals that he is half monster and that despite being rich, he occasionally still gets treated with fear. While Buff Frog sympathizes, he and the monsters elect to leave, but promise to return when Star is crowned queen. After leaving, Tom comforts Star, but ruins the moment when he asks if he did better than Marco. Ponyhead returns to St. Olga's to finish her curriculum and faces a waffle exam after failing a brunch quiz. Meteora, now more monstrous, attacks the school with Gemini and Rasticor's help, leading to significant destruction. Ponyhead and Princess Arms witness Meteora activate a disused robot, St. Olga, who provides only basic information about adopting Meteora. Gemini then accesses St. Olga's true memories, revealing that Meteora was forced to hide her flaws throughout her life. The memories conclude with King Shastakhan giving up Meteora, calling her heinous. Angered, Meteora destroys St. Olga and proceeds to attack the princesses. She exits the school carrying Ponyhead's horn and tells Rasticor that it is just the two of them. He becomes reluctant and leaves, but when Gemini offers his services, she tears out his heart and blows up Rasticor. Leaving an immobile Gemini, Meteora grabs Rasticor's arm and heads off to take the throne of Mooney. Moon and Eclipsa visit the Pigeon family, learning that Meteora damaged their castle. They leave and encounter angry villagers planning to hunt Meteora. Eclipsa suggests finding her first, leading them to Eddie, who takes them to the drained Bogaba swamp. Eddie's family has had their souls drained by Meteora, and he loses his soul trying to wake her. As Meteora stumbles around, Moon and Eclipsa approach. Eclipsa uses Bobo, a childhood doll, to connect with her. Recognizing the doll, Meteora accepts Eclipsa, though she's offended by being called daughter. Eclipsa explains her absence was due to being crystallized by backwards, maladjusted people, and offers to reconnect and fulfill any of Meteora's desires. Meteora wants the throne of Muni, but Eclipsa tells her that it is impossible, resulting in her throwing a tantrum. Moon and Meteora fight with it, briefly ceasing when Eclipsa attempts to tell the latter that she loves her. However, when Moon pins Meteora down, Eclipsa pushes her back, resulting in Meteora sapping half of Moon's soul, evidenced by one of her eyes being completely black. Terrified, Moon opens a portal and retreats. Meteora manages to get up and continues her rampage, leaving Eclipsa devastated. Star interviews Eclipsa about Moon and Meteora, then locks Eclipsa away to prevent interference. She learns that Meteora has stolen souls, including Mina Loveberry's, and holds a council meeting, dismissing the Magic High Commission for their failures. Frustrated by indecision over dinner and lack of help from her father, River, Star turns to Marco for support. In her room, Star discusses the situation with Marco and plans to send Sir Lavabo to delay Meteora while she searches for the moon.
Nope, no way. Can you please excuse us for just
Marco, feeling capable due to his training with Hekapu, insists on confronting Meteora himself. After demonstrating his skills in a fight, Star agrees and the two share a supportive hug, with Marco reminding Star that she can rely on him. Marco assembles the Mark-nificent Seven to trap Meteora, including himself, Tom, Hekapu, Kelly, Jorby, Talon, and Ponyhead. Tom apologizes to Marco for past conflicts, and Marco sets a fire trap for Meteora, disguised as Princess Turdina. The trap fails, and during the confrontation, Jorby and later Ponyhead lose their souls. The team prays for Star to return with Moon. Meanwhile, Star navigates the realm of magic, where her shell phone repeatedly reminds her to find and bring back her mom. She finds Moon, who has regained some of her soul and dark magic marks, but has lost her memory. Star begins to forget things herself, but snaps out of it when removing her shoe. She opens a portal home, but when Moon admires the view, Star forgets again, and they continue to play in the realm. Marco and his team once again fail to trap Meteora, and everyone, with the exception of Tom, has their soul drained. Meanwhile, the amnesiac Star and Moon fool around in the realm of magic until the Firstborn sends them away. Star then wakes up at home, with Moon still missing. As River holds off Meteora, Star and Tom try to reach the sanctuary to revive Marco, but are unable to access it. Tom suggests they flee to his realm, but seeing Meteora defeating River convinces Star that she must face her. They fight, and just as Star is about to be defeated, Eclipsa takes her wand and regresses Meteora into a baby. As everyone's souls return, Star allows Eclipsa to keep the wand. She then flies off with Meteora and Glossaric, whose amnesia was just an act. They arrive at the Monster Temple, where they find Eclipsa's monster husband, Globgor, inside a crystal prison. Eclipsa is now the Queen of Muni, after Star willingly ceded the throne. Under her rule, the living conditions of the monster population have greatly improved, and she has invested a huge amount of resources into unsuccessfully freeing Globgor from his imprisonment. However, the Mew-men parts of the kingdom have fallen into disrepair, and the people blame the royal family for their situation. Star, River, and Marco, meanwhile, have been searching for Moon, but to no avail. They receive a tip that she is at a local pie festival, only for it to turn out to be yet another false lead. However, afterwards they discover that the pies from the festival were made using Moon's recipe, finally giving them a genuine clue. Star, Marco, and River arrive at the home of the Pie Folk, only to immediately be captured. They are rescued by Foolduke and Rubariat, who reveal the pie recipe they thought was Moon's has been with the Pie Folk for generations. Just as they were about to give up, they suddenly find Moon, still suffering from amnesia, making these very pies for the Pie Folk. They are then confronted by the Pie King, who reveals Moon and Star's ancestor, Queen Festivia, to have been Pie Folk, making them part Pie Folk themselves. Due to her amnesia, Moon initially opts to stay with the pies, until she regains some of her memories after she and Star sing together. They then all escape by hot air balloon with Foolduke and Rubariat, and Moon promises Star and River that everything will be okay. Star, Marco, River, and Moon return to Muni, where Moon gradually starts recalling details about her family and notices the presence of monsters among the Mew-mens. They reach the monster castle, and Star decides to delay mentioning Globgor to Moon, opting for a gradual revelation. Eclipsa is emotional at the reunion with Moon, who feels a positive connection with her despite her partial memory. While River washes up, Eclipsa attempts to show Moon Globgor, but Star and Marco distract them. Star confides in Eclipsa about her plan and shows Moon her guitar, which piques Moon's interest. Marco advises Star to be upfront with Moon. As Eclipsa performs a solo, they discover Moon in Globgor's chamber, where she recalls everything upon seeing him frozen in crystal. Although disturbed, Moon sympathizes with Eclipsa's situation. Everyone sits down to have supper, and Star is happy to see Moon and Eclipsa getting along well with one another, believing that she has succeeded in bringing them together. However, Moon and River announce their plan to leave, which upsets Star. Moon reveals that she still does not trust Eclipsa, but that Star did what she thought was necessary during her acting reign, and that is all that matters. The two decide to live in the forest so that they can build a yurt. Marco checks on Star to see how she is doing, and she states that she feels very adult. Star, Marco, and Tom prepare for beach day, but Marco struggles to find his swimsuit. Eclipsa arrives asking for Star's help, and they go to Globgor's chamber, where Romulus is unconscious and spellbound. Eclipsa explains that Romulus was asked to free Globgor but refused, leading to his current state. Star suggests Eclipsa reverse her spells to free Romulus. Glossaric, who advised Eclipsa to seek Star's help, gives Marco a swimsuit that is too small. As Romulus and Eclipsa argue, Star insists they talk it out. Their fight escalates into a spell duel. Star is put to sleep by a spell, and Tom's swimsuit is stolen by a monkey, causing him to become self-conscious. Marco wakes Star, who tells them to leave and tries to mediate. Eclipsa attempts a body-switching spell to help Romulus, but reverts it after Star points out the lack of trust. Angry at being violated, he does not accept her apology and makes sure that Globgor is still sealed away for good. Eclipsa admits that she needs to think about her people first. Star returns to Marco and Tom, defeated by the day's events. Feeling sorry for her, they throw an indoor beach day, much to her pleasure. Eclipsa hosts a monster breakfast, but is enraged when Manfred serves the food in dog bowls. He eats her breakfast in defiance and is turned to stone. Glossaric explains that the yada yada berries, which cause petrification, are delicious and that someone tried to poison Eclipsa. Determined to find the culprit, Star drags Marco along on her mission. They visit the Assassin's Guild, where Rastakor informs them that Babs, who was supposed to carry out the poisoning, was sick with pink eye. She points them to apothecary Sherry, who sells yada yada berries. Sherry reveals she sold the berries to Reuben, a chameleon. Reuben admits he did it due to being forced to eat on the floor, which conflicts with the events, so they let him go. Returning to Sherry for more answers, she evasively yada yada'd herself from revealing further details. They find her receipts listing all her customers and without any option arrest every single one. Star begs that the Mumins confess who the culprit is, but Eclipsa enters and lets them all go. Despite this, the Mumins refuse to thank or forgive her as they still think she is troublesome. Eclipsa pulls Star aside and tells her that not everyone is going to like her, but that she will earn their trust over time. The Maisley family returns to their home, now occupied by monsters who have adapted the space to their needs. Despite the home being designed for monsters, the Maisleys refuse to accept this and are told to leave. Moon and River, living in a yurt in the woods, are bored and aimless. When the Maisleys ask Moon to reclaim their home, she declines, stating she has no authority as a former queen. The Maisleys move in next door, causing disturbances and inconveniencing Moon and River. Moon's frustration peaks when they disturb her at night with noise to scare off the Hookman, leading her to demand they leave. The Maisleys are later found lost and exhausted in the woods, having faced various hazards and a pushy insurance salesman they call the Hookman. Realizing the Maisleys' dependence on her, Moon and River decide to help them adapt to their new life. Their efforts lead to a renewed sense of purpose, and they are pleased to assist another family seeking help. Ponyhead puts on her own daytime talk show to help increase Eclipsa's popularity among the Mumins, which is broadcast to the compact mirror phones. However, it goes on a huge disaster when Seahorse reveals he hacked the phones of everyone in Muni so that they can't even turn their phones off if they want to. The show receives hundreds of downvotes and an angry mob of Mumins gather outside Ponyhead's house. Despite all this, Eclipsa still performs in the show, singing a soft ballad and expressing how much she wants to be a queen that the people can count on. This doesn't change the minds of the Mumins, they riot and hurl insults. So, a crying, despairing Star is forced to shut down the broadcast of the show, but Eclipsa remains true to herself. Meanwhile, after the violent mob leaves, a little girl really liked Eclipsa's song, and she gives Ponyhead's show 1-up vote. When Mooney receives a diplomatic visit from King and Queen Spiderbite from the Spiderbite Kingdom, Eclipsa is absent, forcing Star to take over. However, after being unimpressed by monster culture, Star accuses them of prejudice, until their daughter, Princess Penelope, is revealed to be in a relationship with one. They then reveal that their problem is not with monsters, but Globgor, who they reveal ate their ancestor, Eclipsa's ex-husband, King Shasta Khan. Star then finds Eclipsa, who puts the Spiderbites at ease by showing them Globgor's crystallized state. Afterwards, Eclipsa reveals she has been searching for pieces of the Book of Spells to restore it, and use the knowledge inside to help the kingdom. Fearing she will instead use it to free Globgor, Star hides that she still has one piece in her possession. Marco realizes he can no longer deny his feelings for Star and decides to confess. Star is revealed to also still have a crush on Marco, but Tom believes they are just under the effects of the Curse of the Blood Moon, which eternally bonds their souls together. They then travel to the underworld where they learn from Tom's great-grandfather, Reliquor Lucitor, that the only way to break a curse is by using an artifact called the Severing Stone, which is located deep in the underworld. They eventually reach it, but it's revealed that in order to break the curse, they will need to give up the memory of when they first developed feelings for each other. Despite some hesitation, Star and Marco go through with it anyway, and they seemingly go back to just seeing each other as friends. Moon and River's home in the woods has grown into a small community, but the inhabitants constantly turn to Moon to solve their issues. Unable to keep up with everything, Moon goes to get her old ledger at Butterfly Castle, which is said to be haunted. Upon retrieving her ledger, Moon finds that what has been haunting the castle all along was actually Mina Loveberry.
Welcome home, Your Majesty.
Mina reveals she has been trying to dethrone Eclipsa, and was the one who put yada yada berries in her food, in yada yada berries. Moon tries to convince her that she does not have to fight monsters anymore, but in Mina's eyes she will always be a soldier, and Moon will always be a queen. To prove her wrong, Moon decides not to be everyone's problem solver anymore and lets Mina do as she pleases. Star invites Buff Frog and his kids to attend a game of cornball, hoping its players of both humans and monsters can put aside their prejudice and properly integrate into the sport together. Buff Frog is not thrilled by this and finds out that Star only invited him as a way to have him return to Muni. Star tries her best to have both sides play together as mixed teams, but it only escalates into a fight with spectators joining in as well. Unsatisfied, Buff Frog decides to leave along with his kids, but then notices from behind the bleachers that his own kids as well as Mumin and monster children are having fun playing their own game of cornball. Game announcers Marco and Kelly take notice of this, which alerts the attention of all the adults, and they begin to feel at ease seeing their children play together. Star and Buff Frog realize there may still be hope into proper integration. Eclipsa invites Jana to babysit Meteora while she visits the pigeon family. She gets distracted playing on her phone, and Glossaric, with his arm in a sling, fetches Meteora for her lesson on how to dip down. They go to see Father Time, but he is nowhere to be seen, forcing the two to take a ferry with Ronaldo the Bald Pate. Ronaldo, who speaks in rhyme, wishes to be a part of the Magic High Commission, but Glossaric cannot make that happen despite creating them all. Glossaric and Meteora are taken too far back and meet the first Mumin settlers. Taking pity on them, Glossaric creates the first wand, gives it to a random woman in the group, and tells them to take shelter at a stump due to a terrible storm that is coming. Ronaldo takes them to the correct time, which is when a younger Toffee is training Rasticor and the rest of his reptilian friends. Glossaric reveals that his broken arm was the result of Toffee doing it, and he beckons him to break the other one. Meteora Furious does dip down and fires a powerful energy blast at Toffee, sending him and his friends fleeing. Glossaric takes Meteora back home just in time for Eclipsa to come back. When Meteora proclaims dip down, Eclipsa misinterprets it as daddy and gets excited. Glossaric states that he believes that magic is in good hands, revealing that he faked his injury. Marco and the other squires are knighted by Queen Eclipsa, fulfilling their dreams. Star gifts Marco a custom cape, but Sir Crandall discusses restrictive knight duties, leading Marco to consider quitting. He shares his doubts with Star, who sarcastically calls him Marco the Quitter. Marco then confides in the stone-turned Manfred but is captured by the other knights. They take him to a celebration shack where Marco's hesitation to choose his role angers the squires, who cite a rule against rejecting knighthood. Star, worried about offending Marco, consults Eclipsa, who reassures her. Meanwhile, Marco finds the punishments mundane and is accused by Higgs of being self-righteous about his training. Sir Stabby decides to burn his cape, resulting in Marco showing what all of his training has led up to, beating every single person in the room and retrieving his cape without a scratch. Marco decides to offer his new knights a chance to go to the Never Zone, with Higgs choosing to stay there permanently, as there is nothing left for her on Muni. Marco reunites with Star and reveals that he made a cape for her specifically, and they make up as they watch the sun rise. New Butterfly Castle is in turmoil when Queen Eclipsa disappears. Star, Marco, Janna, and Ponyhead search for her, and Star uses the all-seeing eye to track Eclipsa, much to Ponyhead's annoyance. They discover Eclipsa tied up with a green squid-like creature on her head and receive a ransom demand from the inner circle for 1,000 gold pieces. Star alerts the Muni people, who initially show little interest until Ponyhead emphasizes the risk. The group fails to find Eclipsa or the culprits despite several attempts. Star eventually suspects Seahorse due to past costs from the Reflecta Corpus equipment. They rescue Eclipsa from the abandoned warehouse, only to find the squid-like creature was a VR headset and the inner circle were Ponyhead's sisters in disguise. Star is upset with Ponyhead, but soon learns the stunt has made Eclipsa popular with Muni. Star calms down as she sees the benefit and is glad that all of it was fake, except for the bill which she has to pay. Janna is intent on showing Tom how to have fun. She takes him out into a junkyard to retrieve an oversized knight's armored boot, but a crow snatches it. Although Tom refuses to harm the bird, the latter shows great strength by dropping it into the monster castle. Although Tom and Janna retrieve the boot back, the crow refuses to let them leave and shapeshifts into an oversized crow monster. Tom fights back, but is no match in defeating it, so the two leave immediately without the boot. At the same time, Eclipsa and Star meet with the Magical High Commission and are informed by them that unknown magic is being used somewhere within the monster castle, but have no clue who the culprit is. The shape-shifting crow is then revealed as Sebastian, the crow that belongs to Mina, who uses the armored boot to rebuild a full set of armor. As Star's spells enjoy pancakes, Eclipsa's spells invade and wreak havoc searching for something. Nightmare Dream hits Spider with a top hat, causing him to lose confidence, and the spells kidnap Glowworm before leaving. Star's spells, distressed, convince Richard the Narwhal to retrieve Glowworm. Richard encounters Eclipsa's spells, who try to dissuade him, but he refuses to turn back. He discovers that his room connects to the quarters of past Muni Queens and their spells. Using Glowworm, they locate the Spell with No Name, a destructive butterfly-like creature. Despite their efforts, the spell kills Hypno Slumber and escapes. Eclipsa's spells then plan to use a bomb to destroy the dimension. Richard, now furious, realizes he can use echolocation to find the spell. He leads the spells in an attack, capturing the Spell with No Name in a pickle jar, the only container that can hold it. Richard returns Glowworm back to the other spells, who happily return to eating pancakes. They offer Eclipsa's spells a chance to join them, but they turn them down. As they leave, Richard looks at the spell with No Name in fear. Star discovers the Book of Spells piece she was hiding has disappeared. Meanwhile, Eclipsa uses a spell to communicate with Globgor by entering his mind, and the two go on a date. Eclipsa reveals that she has successfully restored the Book of Spells and found a way to free Globgor from his crystal prison, but they ultimately decide not to do it as the Mumans are not ready to accept him yet. Afterwards, Eclipsa is confronted by Star, who is frustrated at her committing yet another villainous act by violating her trust. However, Eclipsa displays indifference to how her people view her and argues that they have not even given her a proper coronation, causing Star to decide to give her one. Following the events of the previous episode, Star prepares a coronation for Eclipsa, with both monsters and Mewmans attending. As the ceremony is about to begin, Star discovers Globgor has escaped. Eclipsa warns everyone, but the Magic High Commission believes she was the one who freed him and arrests her. Star eventually finds Globgor running away from Muni, believing his presence will only endanger his family. She convinces him to come back, but the High Commission attacks him despite his claim of innocence. In the end, everyone realizes Globgor is just a concerned father after he saves Meteora, who got caught in the crossfire. Star then deduces that Rhombulus was the one who freed Globgor in a misguided attempt to prove he is evil. Rhombulus is arrested while Moon, who is amongst the attendees, tells the Mumans that they need to stop following her and think for themselves. Everyone then finally accepts Eclipsa and Globgor as their new rulers. With Eclipsa and Globgor now ruling Muni peacefully, Star announces her plans to travel abroad with Tom while Marco and Jana decide to return to Earth. Before leaving, Star goes around Muni to say goodbye to everyone. While happy at first, Tom begins to suspect that Star is stalling, especially when she starts saying goodbye to people he has never met like Doop Doop, her very first spell which she left abandoned in a shed. Star breaks down and reveals that she does not know what to do with herself and does not know if she wants to travel. Tom decides to give Star some space until she figures out her life. Star returns to the Diaz family where she meets Marco's newborn younger sister Mariposa. As Marco puts Meteora and Mariposa to bed, Hekapu arrives and warns Marco against returning to Muni due to some unspecified danger. However, she leaves the portal open and both babies crawl through. Marco and Star arrive in Hekapu's dimension where they find that the two are now teenagers. Meteora and Mariposa capture the two and take them to see Whiscan the Granter so that he can give Mariposa magic powers of her own. She backs down at the last minute, and she and Marco decide to fight Whiscan when he proves immune to Star and Meteora's magical powers. Afterwards, Marco finally proves to Mariposa that they are siblings and that he loves her. When Mariposa and Meteora decide that they want to stay in the dimension, Marco and Star convince them to come back for the food, and he quietly puts them back to bed. Star arranges a rooftop picnic for Tom, but he breaks up with her. Heartbroken, Star begs him to reconsider. But Tom decides to move on and is unsure about staying friends. When Tom's portal home fails, he becomes frustrated and starts dismantling furniture to fuel it, but Star intervenes. She tries to create a portal in her butterfly form but fails, suspecting their emotional state is affecting their powers. Echo Creek cops arrive to check on a frozen helicopter, and Mr. and Mrs. Diaz notice something wrong, with Raphael calling the Sad Teen hotline. Tom confides in Marco about his feelings and tries using dimensional scissors, which also fail, leaving him unable to leave despite accepting the breakup. As the Sad Teen hotline hangs up on Raphael for misusing the service, Tom is forced to sleep in Marco's room. The two begin to talk with Marco, telling him that he totally understands what he is going through. Having already gone through a similar breakup with Jackie Lynn, Tom thanks him for his understanding, but the moment is ruined with the arrival of Star. She tells the two that she tried to call Moon and then Ponyhead, but her call cannot go through. But Ponyhead? She usually stays up until at least 4 a.m. Star tells the boys that they have to get back to Muni. Star, Marco, and Tom investigate how Jana arrived in Muni, but find she only remembers it being a normal Thursday. Their quest leads them through awkward interactions, feeding possums, and acquiring a new hat from a knitting dealer. During this time, Tom tells Marco he accepts his potential relationship with Star and reveals that the Blood Moon Curse wasn't the true reason for his feelings. When pressed, Jana admits her stress about feeling undervalued by her friends due to her personality. The group apologizes and invites Jana to lunch at Britta's Tacos, where Oscar, who was supposed to ban her, remains oblivious. Suddenly, Jana remembers when Marco points out that she is wearing a Britta's Tacos t-shirt. She broke into the back of Britta's, knocking out Sensei Brantley in the process, and deduced that they kept the t-shirt in the employee's office. She broke in and discovered a ladder that led down to a dugout mine of sorts, where dinosaur bones and a trail of tennis balls lie. She discovered the shirt on a hanger and a wall of graffiti that is actually Mew-Man writings. As she was writing, Jana was here on the wall. She fell through a well, the same one Star and Moon found while searching portals. Star deduces that this is how they can get back. The gang begin dropping things into the well to get the attention of Star's unicorn daughter. while Marco examines the mural to learn that the first humans were in fact regular humans. The unicorn rises out to tell them to stop, but Oscar offers his car to the group to venture down into the magic dimension. They force the unicorn to pull the car while they have the safety locks on so as not to get out when they lose their memories. Eventually, Tom blows the top of the car and Star and Marco find a new baby unicorn so as to adopt it into their family, while Jana discovers dark baby unicorns. A full-grown dark unicorn arrives and attacks them, forcing the original unicorn to use its last ounce of magic to send Star, Marco, and Jana away. Marco awakens in the now ruined Butterfly Castle to discover that the High Commission is working with Mina Loveberry, who has perfected her metal Solarian soldier to attack Monster Castle. Star awakens in Doop Doop's shed and flies to the new Mumin Kingdom to see Moon. She tells her that she plans to help Eclipsa and Globgor despite Moon's pessimism. Jana awakens in Meteora's bedroom where Glossaric tells her that Star is okay. Jana sees Globgor battle Mina in her Solarian battle armor, and he is hit with a special blade that limits his powers. As Jana tends to him as well as the rest of the citizens under attack, Eclipsa proceeds to battle Mina. Mina begins beating down on Eclipsa as her bubble shield begins to crack under Mina's blade. Star arrives to save Eclipsa along with Ponyhead, Seahorse, Kelly, Rich Pigeon, Jorby, Talon, and Quirky Guy. They chase down the Solarian armor, but everyone, minus Star, is hit with the blade and put out of commission. Star summons enough energy to create a giant rainbow armor to combat the Solarian armor while Jana and Eclipsa collect explosives to use. Their plan fails, so Eclipsa uses her spell with no name to destroy the armor and succeeds. Marco arrives to inform the group that they were not fighting Mina, but one of her soldiers. They look out to see a large army of Solarian battle armor. Everyone takes refuge in the castle while Mina times them with a rooster. Eclipsa is stressed and does not know what to do, so Moon, who arrived with River, informs her to get everyone to safety. Afterwards, she privately tells Eclipsa that she should surrender. Meanwhile, Star and Marco tend to the pig goats to talk, and the two finally admit their feelings, followed by a kiss. When they return, they see Moon and Eclipsa locked in combat. Moon reveals that Mina is acting on her orders just as the rooster crows. As Mina resolves to fulfill her oath to Queen Solaria to wipe out all monsters, Moon reveals she sided with her to prevent her from making matters worse, and that she blames Eclipsa for everything that happened to her since the events of Tough Love. Nonetheless, Eclipsa hands the kingdom back to Moon after she promises stop the army and to let her and her family go. However, Mina betrays Moon, being immune to her magic, and demands Globgor, Eclipsa, and all other monsters as well as any monster sympathizers be taken and disposed of. Fortunately, River manages to sneak away with Globgor while Hekapoo, who snuck away from the other Magic High Commission members, rescues Star, Marco, Moon, Eclipsa, and Meteora. Hekapoo takes the rescued to the tavern at the end of the multiverse to get away from magic. Eclipsa reveals that she knew that Moon planned Globgor's escape at her coronation, and suggests that they either wait out Muni's destruction or go back and fight. Jana and the injured warriors are still hiding when she witnesses Quirky Guy succumb to his wounds. River sneaks Globgor to the healing fountains. Star tells Marco that she hates magic and confronts Glossaric in his own realm. He reveals that Star's tapestry is finally finished, revealing that she successfully destroys magic. However, she is saddened to learn that Marco is not with her. Glossaric tells her that once the magic is destroyed, he will cease to exist and everyone returns home, including Marco. Star is devastated by the news, but returns to the tavern to tell Marco that she will destroy the magic. As Star finally decides to destroy magic, she and Marco enter the magic dimension equipped with pudding, the only thing that can keep their minds clear. Star begins the whispering spell while Marco distracts a dark unicorn being ridden by a possessed Tom. Marco frees his mind with the pudding, but gets stabbed by the unicorn. Star's magic is not powerful enough, but she gets help from Eclipsa, Moon, and Meteora, and eventually the spirits of their ancestors. Mina, who was unwittingly informed by River where Star was, goes into the magic to stop them, but is distracted by Solaria helping Star and is taken out by a unicorn. They successfully complete the whispering spell, but Star and Marco stay behind in the magic to be with each other as long as they can. Star awakens back on Muni to see the Solarian soldiers fall. Mina returns, powerless, and threatens that she will hang around. Ponyhead informs Star that Kelly and Talon returned to their respective dimensions, while the High Commission most likely perished, along with Glossaric. Tom arrives to show Star a giant portal in the sky. Back on Earth, in the aftermath of a strong earthquake, Marco and Jana are recovering on ambulance gurneys when they spot the same portal. Jana distracts the doctors while Marco rides across the city, using Jackie's skateboard. Star runs towards her portal, avoiding obstacles. As they get close, the portals shrink and explode. Muni and Earth, along with other magical worlds, have merged into one, with humans being surprised by the abundance of creatures. Star and Marco walk up and greet each other as the series concludes. So that will be it from us. If you enjoyed the video, let us know which character was your favorite. Also, do not forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next one.